Good morning. Thanks for being with us today, and thanks for watching our lesson later in the week as well. Please join me in our opening prayer. The energy of love is within us and is us. Whole and complete is the I am that we are. We awaken to the truth of our being. We will this be done within and without. May we come to recognize that we receive all that we give. We know that we have forgiven ourselves when we forgive others of all grievances held within our minds. May we not be led into temptation by the voice of separation, but instead, may we transcend all illusions. For ours is the power, love, and peace of ChristConsciousness found within each of us, who is but the perfect extension of the one mind and heart that is shared by all, and is our birthright as the holy extensions of love itself. Our affirmation of faith. We believe in one God, author and energy of all life, whose love sustains the universe and all things found within it. Our 5 Christ principles. There is only one energy in the universe. That energy is love, at all times active in everyone, everywhere. 2. We are the divine energy of love, and that energy is found throughout the universe and in all things, whether seen or unseen. 3. We create our experiences by what we choose to think, feel, and believe, thereby establishing our responsibility for our own choices. 4. Through opening our heart center, we connect with the energy of love and bring out the Christ within us. And 5. We express our desire to be of service when we live and demonstrate Christ consciousness in all our affairs.
Thank you, Miss Penny, and welcome everyone. Welcome to those who are here, to those watching, and to those who will watch later this week. Welcome to the Church of Christ Consciousness. We are here for those who are ready to live the truth of their being. Today, I would like to discuss the 4 Guidestones to living the way of Christ. What are the 4 Guidestones? They are allowance, embracing, trusting, and loving. Again, the Guidestones. Allow all things. Embrace all things. Trust all things. And love all things. And before I go any farther, to those who say, "Where is it in the Bible?" Bear with me. It's all there. And I'd like to share a little story of how when you live the way, Jesus said, "Follow me." He said, "Follow me. I am the way, the truth, and the life." Well, he showed us the way. A lot of us don't pay attention, or we've missed it, which is why I'd like to share it today. The story. This past Wednesday, I did a short service on gratitude. Finished up here in the sanctuary, was taken home, dropped off, and no more than 10 minutes later, someone messages me through the church, wanting to know where consciousness is in the Bible. I said, okay, I'm sure you've probably seen the verse, "Let the mind that was in Christ Jesus be in you." Let the mind. I said, the dictionary says mind is consciousness, consciousness is mind. At first, I felt my own resistance to it. And this is why I came up with the topic. I had chosen something else, but decided to come up with a topic because I said, no, I'm going to allow it, and I am going to embrace. Well, what does it mean, first of all, to allow? So when I sat there, I knew that if I was in resistance, I was not in allowance. And you may be asking, is allowance in the Bible? Yeah, it is. And it's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, where it says, love does not make a list of basically grievances. It does not hold anything against another. It is not in resistance to anything. It allows all things. And believe it or not, Jesus did allow. So that night, that Wednesday night, this past Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, I was sitting on my couch and I thought, allow this conversation to unfold. However it unfolds, just allow it. Stay out of resistance. And now, follow the second guidestone, which is to embrace. And to embrace means to welcome. Well, I knew when the message first came in, I had interpreted it as this is going to be one where this person, this man, was trying to start an argument, trying to prove me wrong. And I thought, no, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to welcome it. Now, whatever comes, comes. Just welcome it. Is embracing biblical? Yes. Out of Jesus' own mouth, he said, welcome the little children, for who welcomes them has welcomed me. But it is not me you have welcomed. It is the one who sent me. So when we welcome and we're open, we're welcoming God himself. So that night before Thanksgiving, I welcomed the conversation. So the man wrote back and he asked another question. And I knew that he was trying to trap me. And I was okay with it. So I answered the question, gave a biblical reference. And the third guidestone is trust. Again in Corinthians, it says, love trusts. It has hope. And it perseveres. And I thought, I will trust. I'm going to trust that this conversation unfolds for my highest good. So I answered the third question that the man posed. Again, with a biblical reference. At that moment, it ended. There was no back and forth. It was perfect. And I knew this is the way. This is the way of Christ. These are the guides, the 4 guidestones that Jesus tried to tell us to follow, to live by, to allow all things, to embrace all things, to trust all things, to love all things. So I'm going to go back to the first guidestone, allowance. To allow simply means to be out of resistance, not to resist, and just let whatever it is unfold without making any judgments on it. Now that does not mean that you won't have a preference. It also does not mean that you are to be run over. It means do not judge, step back, and if the right thing to do is to leave the situation, you leave the situation without being attached to any part. So allowance is really the opposite of attachment. You are not attached to any outcome because you have not judged any aspect of the experience. That's probably the hardest, which is why we've been told that allowance is the greatest key to the kingdom of heaven. The second is to embrace. It is to welcome. Well, how often do we welcome what is occurring in our life? Again, most of us are in resistance to probably 60, 70, or 80% of what is occurring in our own life. And we have forgotten that we are the ones who called it to us. We call the experience to us. If we welcome it, if we welcome the experience, we're one step closer to discovering the gift that the experience is trying to offer us. But if we're in resistance, we will miss that gift. Again, the third guide stone, trust. And I have said before in these talks that trust is the flip side of love. If there is no love, then there can be no trust. If there's no trust, there's no love. But if there's love, then there is trust. That's why love trusts, it says in 1 Corinthians. Love trusts all things. It doesn't question, because love knows that whatever is happening for our highest good. We may not know what it is. We may never know exactly the purpose of an experience. But there will be a gift if we embrace and trust that the experience is unfolding exactly as it should. And once we allow, we embrace or welcome, and we are trusting, we've met the definition of love. Just as it says in 1 Corinthians. Now we are the very definition of love. And if we are in the definition of love, then we must be that love. And that is the way of Christ. That is to live in Christ consciousness, in the way of Christ here on earth. Now, I have never said it's easy. I've never said it was simple. But I've always said it was worth it. Why is it worth it? Because we're worth it. We are worth living this way. And here's the gift. Here's the gift of living the way of Christ. Peace. Peace is the gift. Happiness, joy is the gift. To be at peace, regardless of what is happening out here, is a beautiful gift. It is freeing. Not to be attached to anything out here, to any outcome, or trying to control or manipulate. Just allowing and welcoming all. In the Bible, it's also written that we entertain angels unaware. So if I'm welcoming to all, then I'm welcoming even the angels, whether I am aware of it or not. But the beauty is Generally, if you're in and walking the way of Christ, you will know. And you will know the gift. The way of Christ is the highest way to live. For love is not self-seeking. It is service. So love is the basis for the new paradigm. Service to others rather than service to self. That is what this is about. And we realize that when we are in service to others and we're giving and we are sharing, that we have everything we need. For as Jesus said, you don't need to ask God, He already knows. So now life becomes one of gratitude, always. One of a thankful heart, not one that is a bitter heart, or resentful, or one that is grievous. That's life. And when you live the way of Christ, then you will live in the truth, and you will live in the life. For life begins in the way of Christ. True life. Life that we have only dreamed of, and some of us never even thought was imaginable. These are the gifts. These are the gifts of the Spirit that we were promised. But we must make the choice to live in the way of Christ. To live as Jesus did. Allow all. Embrace and welcome all. Trust all things because you trust God in heaven. And love all. Love all equally. And life becomes this unimaginable, beautiful gift. Not one where we have to suffer and trod and plod and strive. Life now becomes effortless because instead of resisting the flow, we're in the flow. We just allow life to carry us down the stream. And that does take allowance, welcoming, trusting, and loving. The gift is, you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you are going to be okay, that you're always okay, that God has you, and there's nothing to worry about. Fear becomes meaningless because love has become everything. So as you go through this new week, this coming week, as you go into every new experience, simply and quietly think to yourself, I choose to experience this in the way of Christ. I will allow it, welcome, trust, and love without any attachment or resistance. And watch how the experience unfolds in such a beautiful and natural way. And you glide right into the next one without any residue from the previous one. And that is living in the now. Not having any residue of the past. Not worried about what's coming in the future, but living in this present moment, the way of Christ. Because only in this present moment can we choose to follow the Guidestones that were given us. So thank you. Have a great week. And be the love. Be the love that you are in truth. Share it. Give it. And live freely. Thank you.
Let's take just a moment to be still and reflect on today's lesson. So as you settle in, breathe in, I am, and breathe out. Breathe in, I am, and breathe out. Breathe in, I am, and breathe out. Let's take one last look at the 4 guideposts. Allowance. Allowance means do not dishonor others, do not easily anger, and keep no record of wrongs. Embrace all things. Whoever welcomes such a child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me. And trust. Trust always loves, always protects, and always perseveres. And love. Love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And love your neighbor as yourself. Look at the week you've just had and ask yourself if you honored others. If you kept no record of wrongs. During the holidays, it's kind of hard to stay out of the record of wrongs, but it's the challenge. Welcome one another and protect one another. And love God with all your heart and the person beside you with all your heart. Just take a moment now and think about going into this coming week of the opportunities that you will have to put your 4 Guidestones into practice. And as we come back to this place and get ready to move into our week, let's remember to love one another, allow people to be who they are, embrace one another, trust that God has the situation in control. It may not be you're trusting the other person so much as you're trusting that God's got your back. And love your neighbor as yourself. and thank you for joining us. If you'd like to know more about us, you can check our website out at ulchurchofchristconsciousness.org or ulchurchofchristconsciousness.com. And we hope to see you again next week.
Thank you, Miss Penny. As we come to the end, I would like to take this moment to thank everyone who is here, to those who have been watching and to those who will watch later. I'd like to thank everyone for the support that you give this ministry, this church. Thank you. And all we ask is that you carry the love that you are in your heart and share it with the world, because we can change this world one loving thought at a time. So go and be the love that you are. Be the peace, be the joy, and share it. Live it, and allow it to be you. Thank you.